that through the power of voice, she is making that huge difference, giving a voice to the voiceless and meaning to the marginalized. Let's get her up on the screen. Sue Bayley, come on up. Hey. It's so fun to be playing with you again.
Yep.
It's just
Sammy magic coming up.
Yes. It's been such an honor to have witnessed your growth, and it's like I could see you growing and growing and growing as you were kind of in your job doing this on the side, but you've been in business on your own business, building your own brand for just over a year now, making a huge difference. You've already published several books. You've been busy doing so many things, launching programs. And I mean, it's just amazing what you've been doing. And if nothing else, I hope that those that are thinking about starting a business or have started a business and they're finding it challenging or lonely or, frustrating, overwhelming, I don't think there's any of those emotions they could feel that you haven't felt on this journey.
Absolutely.
Really, is there? I know, but this has been quite a long journey, you getting to this point, because of, I suppose, other people's opinions that held you back, other people really squashing your voice, that you've had that happen throughout your life, to the point that now you're just like, nope, not letting that happen anymore. But so many people that are listening or watching to this right now, they might not be at that point yet. So let's talk about, how do you give that voice to the voiceless?
Okay. I think that if somebody had told me many years ago that the hardest thing for me to do would be my blessing, I would have, one, just thought they were mad, and secondly, disbelieved them. There's a beautiful book that talks about your gifts, and it said that mine was a gift of expression. And when I first read it, I was like, you're kidding, aren't you? And I couldn't get how possible this was. But yet, I emote expression. I do it with my voice. I do it with my pen. I do it with my paintbrush. I do it with my body, dancing. I talk with my hands usually. I'm trying to keep them away from the keys, but I talk with my hands usually. And, the very thing that I felt was a curse because I was mute as a child has become my biggest gift. And I guess the most proudest moment was when I spoke in the House of Lords on disability and employment. And there were some seriously big companies talking to maybe half a dozen of us on the challenges we face as employees, as people in college and university and school. And, nobody, I mean, whether you are an employee or an entrepreneur or actually in between working, you can't escape from the fact that your voice is an intrinsic part of your life. And if you've given yourself a gagging order through trauma, you know something isn't right. You're not understanding or being understood, and you just can't get the other people to get beyond gaslighting and saying, yes, well, we all have a bit of that, don't we? So my hope is that this interview helps people understand that, yes, people that are neurodiverse are human. People that are non-neurodiverse are human. There are certain traits that we all have, but it's the severity and the complexity that makes it harder, and that's what people don't get. Then you can't express it. You've got a huge problem in your hands.
And I can recognize parts, going back to, parts of my own life where I've certainly held my voice back, or I've made myself smaller than my life actually was, to kind of fit into the group that, like certain parts of my family, the other half of my family. I've got like my core family who are just super supportive. And then, as you know, last year or the year before, I had to really move myself away from the kind of other side of my biological family, because I just I realized that I was behaving differently. I was being different. And when I was around them, I wasn't being somebody that I liked. I wasn't being somebody that I felt was in real, like, authentic alignment with who I actually am. And I found myself starting to become like them. And I didn't like that. And I've had that experience as well in the workplace, of keeping up with the Joneses, of they're wearing pinstripe suits, so I will. They don't say anything, so I won't. And you start becoming that voiceless person that's just like a tumbleweed, tumbling through. But as a catalyst, which all of you who are listening or watching this right now, you are all catalysts in something. You've heard from Wendy, who is not the catalyst of her own business. She's the catalyst alongside me in my business. And so we're all catalysts in some kind. But how can you be a catalyst that's helping to start something or grow something, or being the one that really ignites something in someone else, if you yourself are dimming your light? So let's go back to your journey, Sue, because I know, having been part of the kind of writing and editing of your chapter, I know what's in your chapter, and I also know a lot about you because we've been working together for a long time. I know there's a huge amount that didn't make it into this chapter. Take us back to some of the moments in your life that we'll be able to relate to, where you squashed yourself to fit in, or you didn't speak up, and what were the consequences of that?
Okay, I think I'm going to tell you one now that you haven't heard.
Ooh.
I don't think you know this one. There's a transition that happens for young people and children, and there's many, but one of the main ones is when they leave primary school and they go into secondary or grammar or comprehensive or high school or private school or whatever. And my father died the same month as I was doing my 11 plus. So consequently, I didn't pass. Yet I'd been in the top 5 to 10 in my class. And I ended up in a secondary modern school. Now that dates me, but hey, secondary modern school in Norwich. And I know you spent some of your time studying in Lowestoft, so you know where I mean.
I did.
And I used to love studying. You know I love studying. You know that from the way I love doing your challenges. And that was fine for year 7, the first year of secondary school. By year 8, I'd given myself a gagging order because people either used to nick my homework so they didn't have to do it, or they would take my homework, put it in the community shower and turn the taps on, and it ended up like paper mache. So I soon learnt to dumb down and become more helpless, to become, well, stupid, I suppose. And that didn't stop the bullying, but at least my work didn't get ripped up anymore because they didn't want it, because I was absconding and I wasn't doing it. So you know, so it made a huge difference. And then when my great granny died, which is 5 years later, I was doing my GCSEs. So the same thing happened. She died. I was about 3 months before I was doing my GCSEs. I had a social worker because I didn't want to go with my family of origin, and they didn't really want me, I don't think, either. That's another story. And I basically, the long and short of it is, I ended up at getting jobs and stuff in the insurance industry and the retail industry because I was good at interviews. But when I got to 19 and I realized that somebody who had a PhD in zoology couldn't even pick up the phone and take his own goddamn message, I realized that I wanted to go back to the drawing board and find a different way. And that was the beginning of 19 to 66. So whatever number of years that is, that was a whole new trajectory till now.
Well, I think that would be, what, 59? Because Greg was born in 65. So, well, yeah. Longer.
So you didn't know that. You didn't know that story, did you?
I did not. I've learned a new facet of Sue.
So that's why I love learning, because I've always loved learning, but it got bullied out of me. Yeah, I actually love learning. When I do the challenges, it isn't to be a goody two shoes. It's because it actually helps me learn more than anything else in the month.
I love it when you do our challenges because, well, I mean, we've been doing challenges every month for 5 years or something, but in different guises. Like with Ripple Fest, we were moving forward still, but we're doing like proper challenges this year. And I love it when you do the challenges because, you know, you literally do the homework. Like I'll say, right, now go and do this, and off you go, and you come back. Done. What next?
And I've got a radio interview.
You got a radio interview? Fantastic. Well done. Is that off of last week's sprint? This week? Is it this week? Last week? Well done. See, that's the thing. It's like, you know,
I've got to wait till January because other slots are filled, but it's in January.
That is awesome. Yeah,
and Clive's going to drive me to it.
That is so good too. See, that's the thing though, is like, you know, we as mentors can provide everything. We can do everything, literally everything, up until the point that we have to hand it over to you because we can't do any more. And you go and do it. And that's why you're getting the results. That's why you're getting your radio interviews, and opportunities are coming to you now because of what you've sown in. You don't just do the homework and then not put it out there. You literally you're a catalyst. You're doing it. That's why you're here. So I want to come to a part of your chapter here. I want to come to your quote. I love your quote that you've put in here. So you say, recognize your inherent worth and the wisdom that lives within you. Let it guide you as you stop dreaming and start doing, creating a life that reflects your true self. What does that quote mean for people who feel like they're a little bit out of alignment, that maybe, you know, they might be completely on path, completely on track, but just feel like there's this little part of them that's not quite being true to themselves? Is that values? Is it identity? Is it other people impressing upon them things that make them then act like you acted in a certain way, not to stand out? Like, what is it? What is it that stops us from standing in the power of our true inherent worth and value?
Okay, so this is my theory according to Sue. You hear it here. The first is that many people, therapists, employers, educationalists, medical teams, you name it, they come from a structure that says you're broken. We need to fix this system. We need to fix that behavior. We need to plug that gap in what you can and can't do. However, I come from the belief that as an energy, as a being of light, we're not broken. And we're here in this lifetime to be in what I call Earth School and to learn stuff that we're here to learn. And that the shizzle that happens along the way is just grit in the oyster to get us to change a perspective, to change a value, to change a piece of our identity, to change our attitude to love, whatever. And that means that when I work with people, I have like 5 main doorways, and those doorways lead to the core thing, which is self-awareness, self-belief, and self-mastery, which comes up in everything. But they enter either through not knowing what their employment or entrepreneurial gifts are, and so they're doing a job or they're running a business where they just don't have those skills. They're working in their weakest environment. So for me, as an example, when I worked in insurance, I don't have the same attention to detail. So filing and doing endorsements, I caused more harm than I solved on a bad day. But put me in a situation where I'm creating or I'm helping somebody, and then the complete reverse is true. So once I knew that being helpful or guiding others or working with my intuition and their energy and my energy, I knew that if a job or a client or something in my body of work wasn't aligned to creativity or helping, then it's probably best I don't do it.
Yeah.
But it took me until my 40s to work that out. So that's a whole bunch of decades where I probably could have earned, Stephen talks about his loss of income because of his illness. My loss of income was because I didn't know that expression and creativity and helping others were my strengths. I'd have got a lot damn further if I did. And when I did, like when I was a headhunter for an IBM agency, I was their top salesperson. I used to go into places like Polygram and HSBC Bank and I don't know, can't remember. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd go into the big on Bond Street, London, and go in and talk to these large cigar smoking gentlemen, and do you know what I mean? And just hold my truth. So I must have had something, but I didn't see it. I just thought it's my job. I better do it. Better get down. I've got a target. I can get past that. I didn't know why I could do that and I couldn't do the filing, because that's sequential, and as you know, I don't do sequences.
Yeah, it is a massive gift to be able to be in your gift, in your job, and I'm sure where jobs are scarce or cost of living crisis, people are getting work in things that aren't necessarily their gift. So for those of us that are in the gift of the call of what we do, then we're very, very lucky. And for you've always just been so good with people. You've been, I think, like, plant you anywhere where randomness is, and you are the very best person to deal with random.
I don't know what by that? Please explain.
Well, in that, like, where there's chaos, where somebody is in like overwhelm or going through some kind of traumatic event, or they've been triggered by something. Like, if I put you in front of somebody who is very, very ordered, like, you'd be like, well, I have no job here, there's nothing to do. Whereas put you in front of somebody who needs somebody else to hold a space for them, to just hold them in a place where they can totally share their voice and be completely vulnerable, or chaos is going on. Like, it's sensuing. Look at your history of, just in the time that I've known you, when you were working with kids in care, and families that didn't know how to communicate with one another. And I think really that was you stepping into your true gift and calling, because look at the amount of people who couldn't deal with the children who wouldn't communicate with anyone, yet they always would communicate with you. And it got to the point where you were the one they sent in for all the hardest cases, because you have been there, you understand them, you're not just seeing them as a number and pushing them through. I think you really stepped into your true gift and call when you went into that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'll give you another example to help the viewers see what Sammy's trying to get to. She's on the money, but there's another example I could give which I think might add more. So
please do.
When I was trained to be an interfaith minister, which was a 2-year course, and then I was a mentor for 2 lots of 2 years to doctors and entrepreneurs and plumbers and whatever. Say in a mastermind session, or the nearest thing to a mastermind session in an interfaith community is like learning about a particular spiritual path, or learning how to apply kindness and generosity and stuff in community or whatever. And sometimes I think the hardest thing I had to do was sit and look at a picture of Hitler and see the little boy and good in him. That was the hardest thing I remember having to do.
Wow.
They would say, okay, when you go to coffee, when you come back, there's a photo. This is a real example, a photo under your chair. And there were some real interesting characters on those photos under people's chairs. And mine was Hitler. And I know in a past life that I was a teenager supporting people during that period in a camp. I had that past life experience come up so many times that I can't do anything linked to the Holocaust. I can't watch Schindler's List. I can't do anything. Anyway, get to the point, Sue. So the point is that in those scenarios, chaos happens. In those scenarios, people start moving about, talking instead of listening, just disengaging, because it's too hard for them to stay present. So what used to often happen, and when I say often, we used to meet once a month, and when I say often, I would say maybe every couple of months, or it wasn't every meeting, but it was more often than I probably remember. The elephant in the room, which just couldn't be it just couldn't be decimated by anything. So what would happen, they'd call an early coffee break. Some point during the coffee break, one of the faculty would waddle over to me and say, Sue, some point in the next 2 hours, we're going to ask you to say what you're feeling, sensing and thinking. And they knew I would just say what I was thinking, feeling and sensing, because I don't have filters. And then chaos would reign, because you know, people would literally start crying or changing places, or some would sit on the floor leaning on other people. All sorts of stuff would happen. I would say what it was, but what happened is that then got talked about, that then got expressed, that then got held, that then got soothed over, and then it went back to normal. And, you know, the faculty literally used to use me for that. I've had headmasters of primary school who are doing the training sit on the floor, sobbing like a child, literally dribbling on my leg. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's what I do.
And it's creating that I suppose they call it now, the term is psychological safety. But it is creating that safe environment that somebody really can learn to express themselves. Because if they can do it there, then they can start doing it in real life as well. And that's a great point at which to talk about your upcoming workshop in June. So we've got the pleasure of an hour of power with you in 2025 as part of the Thrive in 25 series. And that is all about expression. Give us a little insight into what we're going to be doing together during your session.
Well, my sensing into it is using my 5 gateways to help people understand where they're at, and where they're at in June. I mean, not where they're at physically located. I mean, where they are in that hour. So I won't know where they're at. They won't know where they're at. So I'm going in randomly, and I will bring like life purpose awareness, spiritual and secular value awareness, somatic and emotional awareness, and creative mastery. And depending what becomes unveiled, I will bring out maybe a couple of those tools to deal with it.
Love it. That is very exciting. I'm looking forward to that. It's a shame we've got to wait until halfway through the year
Is that curious enough for you?
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Guys and girls, you can take part in all of the workshops that our amazing Catalysts of Change authors and summit speakers are going to run all throughout 2025 as part of our Thrive in 25 series. All you got to do is go and either buy the book or buy the book for someone else, and you can enter the into all the free workshops that we're going to be running to support you. So it's what we really want to do is not just give you a book that you can read. We want to give you a book that also comes with the physical implementation that helps you to make that work. And we're going to be doing that all throughout next year to support you on your journey. Well, exciting times. You heard it here, guys and girls. There are things being created literally as we speak. Maybe those of you that are watching or listening in, maybe you want to come and partner with us and do something fun together. So reach out to us and let us know. But it all starts with getting that book. Get that book, start making a change, start joining us on the sessions.
Hey folks, what you don't know is if you help Sammy, you get Sammy time, and you can't buy Sammy time. So if you help Sammy free, you get Sammy time. So that's a really good incentive, folks. So get thinking on it.
That is true. That is true. You can't hire me, but I love partnering on stuff. Guys and girls, I'm just enjoying myself so much. I hope that you're enjoying this as much as I am. We're going to be back with our next phenomenal Catalyst of Change in a few moments. So keep watching. And if you need a pee or a cup of tea or anything as you go throughout the day, just go grab it, because we're going to keep going. So take care, and we'll see you in the next session. Thanks, Sue. Bye for now.